Hello. I've been gone from YouTube for a couple months, and I thought I'd pop back in, make a video about pretty big development in my life. You read the title. I was diagnosed with ADHD last week. And I don't have like a script or anything to talk about this, but I figured I would just make a video for anyone curious about what being diagnosed at 34 might realistically look like. Because I know that it's a hot topic right now, ADHD. And a lot of people are curious, and a lot of people feel that they are not diagnosed or something. I don't know. My curse is that I'm professionally diagnosed with whatever mental disorder is trending at the moment. First was my complex PTSD, now it's this. So, anyway, this is how it happened. So, I'm drinking a fake beer. As of right now, I am 18 months alcohol free and 6 months without cigarettes. And after the first year, and yeah, around October in my sobriety, I was feeling so awful. I just felt like my life was so stressful. I couldn't deal. I was like in the middle of a hormonal episode, and I thought, you know what? Whatever. I'm just gonna try smoking weed again. It's probably not a good idea, but I'm just gonna do it, you know? And as it turns out, I can't do that. I'm a drug addict. And so within 10 days, my life was totally unmanageable. I was smoking at work. I was smoking when I said I wouldn't. I was hiding. I was lying, that sort of thing. And so I had to stop. And I talked to my psychiatrist, to my therapist, my talk therapist, who I see every week. And she was like, why did you do that? Why did you start smoking weed again? Like, what were you trying to get out of it? And I said, well, doc, the first time I smoked it, I just felt so relaxed. And I just felt like I could just tune out and just watch a movie, and I felt like peace, and I just wanted that feeling because I never get to feel that way, right? And she was like, well, you know what it sounds like is that maybe you need to talk to a psychiatrist. I have not been on psychiatric drugs in about 15 years. The last time was when I was in the mental hospital, which I've talked about in other videos. I had a nervous breakdown when I was 19 and wound up being hospitalized for it like a half a dozen times. And they had me on a whole cocktail of drugs and it didn't work at all. It just made me feel worse. And ever since then, I've been hesitant to be on drugs. I've been a bit of a perfectionist, and I've been under the impression that if I am having problems, it is because I have not done the work yet required to solve those problems emotionally or mentally or whatever. And that if I just stick with therapy and I get my behaviors right, sobriety being one of them, my healthy habits, going to sleep, exercising, that sort of thing. If I just get them right, then I'm gonna overcome these emotional problems that I have, right? And well, I'd done all that, and so I was open. Oh my gosh, do you hear the beeping? I got a Tamagotchi for Christmas and a white elephant gift, and it's very noisy. This one I named Tui because it's like Little Shop of Horrors. Two, it was born on New Year's Day, 2022. Tui, get it? So anyway, so I was receptive to the idea that maybe I've made all these changes. I've been sober. Maybe I'm actually ready to do some psychiatric medication. I was actually already on antidepressants from my general doctor. From when I tried to quit smoking, I was like, there's something so wrong with me. I don't know what's going on. And, but basically my therapist convinced me that these antidepressants, just based on this relapse that I had on marijuana, were not working well enough. So I went to a psychiatrist, long story short, and I was like, doc, I still have all these symptoms. I'm anxious all the time, and I can't concentrate at work, and I have these emotional outbursts, and I would just like to see what, if anything, you feel is appropriate. So first of all, if I wasn't sober, this conversation would have never happened. Because if I had been to a doctor asking for like Xanax at any other point in my in active addiction, they would have said, no, stop drinking first. You're clearly an alcoholic. Like I wasn't even at the point where I could even assess my own mental state when I was still in active addiction. So anyway, he was like, well, elaborate on that. Like, the work problems, what is that? And I was like, well, I have this problem where I just can't force myself to focus at work. I will, I'm very easily overstimulated. I'll look at my phone one time and then I'll have to log off of work because I'm so distracted by my phone. And it's like I keep telling myself I can't have my phone at work, and I have tried so many times to just, keep it on the bed, but I always go back to it, and then I'm stuck on the phone for 6 hours and I just can't put it down. I literally can't stop. And that, I think, was probably a clue for this psychiatrist. And I told him about these sensory issues that I have that are, I get very irritated by unwanted noises to the point where I feel really violent. Like, I've told people that, and I stress again. I feel violent when I hear noises that I don't want to hear. I actually just now, literally 2 hours ago, got into an altercation with my neighbor in the hallway because she was playing very loud music. And I walked out there and I was like, could you turn it down? Could you shut the door? I got ready to make this video. I walked over to her door. I knocked on her door. I was going to apologize to her because I just spoke to her so disrespectfully. I act on impulse when I'm angry. And then I feel embarrassed afterwards. This is also a common problem that I have, where I feel like I'm always apologizing for lashing out in anger at people. And so the psychiatrist was like, have you ever considered that maybe you have ADHD? And I was like, no, never. What? This is, no, that is news to me. Never considered that ever once. And he explained a little bit about it to me, but not very much, actually. Now, just months later, knowing what I know now, I really didn't understand what it was he was seeing in what I said. But anyway, so he was like, I'm going to refer you to a specialist. And during that space between the psychiatrist and the specialist, I deliberately avoided internet stuff about ADHD. I looked at it for like one day. It's very popular on TikTok, I guess. And I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and say not all that information on TikTok is good. And I was like looking up some articles and like just Google like ADHD symptoms. I was like, maybe, I don't know. And I kept on reading and in those first couple days, and I just was starting to really become convinced that I had it. And I was like, nope, I am poisoning myself right now. I am convincing myself that I have it. I don't want to represent myself inaccurately at this appointment. Because immediately the idea of taking Adderall was very seductive to me. I struggle with productivity so much. I lose hours a week at my job just from not being able to focus. I have to, for years, this from watching my videos, I have a list of things I need to do every day, like 10 things I need to do every day, including simple things like put your lotion on your tattoo, clean up your apartment before you go to bed. I even had like go to bed at midnight, wake up at 8 a.m. These are like check marks that I was giving myself. And it's like I felt like I had to just so rigidly structure myself. Otherwise, I always felt like I was just completely out of control, right? And anyway, so I don't remember where I started that tangent, but basically I was like, no, shut it down. I don't want to know anything about ADHD. I'm just going to go into this assessment raw and ask, whatever they ask, so be it. Oh, right, because I wanted Adderall, which also I distrust because I'm an addict. So I got my first appointment with the assessment. And the first appointment was an hour-long interview with the doctor. And she asked me a lot of questions about my current life, about my childhood life, how things were malfunctioning for me. And it was at this point that I told her that I had totaled 2 cars in the past year, and learned that people with ADHD are bad drivers, and that they are actually twice as likely to die in car accidents. And she asked me a bunch of questions about being emotionally frustrated and acting on anger and difficulties, with dating. I'm 34. I've never been in a serious relationship in my life. And so my idea of what ADHD before was pretty much limited to the job. I was really focused on not being able to pay attention at work. But then she's asking me all of these questions that are like connecting to these different parts of my life, all of these problems that I'm working on in therapy, but cannot seem to make progress on. That's what's so frustrating. That was what was so frustrating to me. I've had a diagnosis of complex PTSD for 15 years. And it's like, at every step I take forward, I feel like I'm hitting a wall. It's like there are these symptoms that I figure, okay, I'm just gonna have to live with this. I'm always gonna be sound sensitive, and I would rationalize it with my PTSD somehow. How like, when I was a kid, my parents, there was domestic violence. When I would try to go to sleep at night, I could hear my parents fighting through the wall. And so now I'm really sensitive when I have to listen to noises that I don't want to listen to. I'm just like rationalizing it. But that's not it. I don't think that's it. I just want you to imagine like what a mind blower this is to me. As someone who the focus of my entire adult life has been on becoming able to live a normal, healthy life. The amount of time I've spent examining myself, reflecting on my own psychology, reflecting on my symptoms, talking to doctors about it, implementing changes in my life to get around it with really good success. I mean, I don't regret doing it, but my thinking about it as not a trauma thing, but as a developmental disorder, as a genetic disorder of my brain, just totally changed everything. And it made me feel really upset, actually. Long story short, I passed that first assessment. I passed to the next level. And they needed to send me some paperwork that I needed to fill out and to give to people that I knew who could provide an outsider's perspective of my behavior, both as an adult and as a child. So I gave it to my sisters and my brother-in-law, and they filled them out. I filled mine out, took it back. And I had my appointment last week where the doctor said, yes, we are giving you a working diagnosis of ADHD. I have my psychiatrist appointment tomorrow where I'm going to start medication tomorrow. Because now let's get back to what was upsetting about it to me. I was picked on a lot when I was a kid, not just by other kids, but by my parents. And I had this sense that the reason that I was bullied at school is because I was shy and weird from being abused at home. And I was different than other kids. You know, I was smart. I was tall. I've been big and tall my whole life. You know, I was the biggest girl in the class. And I was also the smartest girl in the class. And I was shy and weird. And so people picked on me. And then at home, you know, my parents are just assholes. They're just picking on me. For being clumsy, for being, I don't know, unkempt, basically. I don't know what the fuck their problem was, but there was just always something where they were just telling me that, you know, I was wrong and I was ungrateful and blah, 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 and weird. And there is a part of my psychology that is very harmed by the idea that maybe I was just kind of naturally weird. That maybe my parents were picking on me, not just for nothing, but because I had a disability. And that I'm harmed by the idea that I had a learning disability in school and that it was never caught. They actually told me, my doctor told me, that I'm kind of the poster child for someone whose ADHD would go unrecognized and undiagnosed. And this is why. So I was raised really strict at home. I never acted out at school. I was always a good kid, never in trouble. Because if you get in trouble in school, you may as well be signing your own death warrant in my home. You know what I mean? And also, every time I would do the standardized tests that they would have us do, I was in the 99.9th percentile in all these tests. I say this because it's relevant. You know, you're not supposed to brag, but like I was really fucking smart, okay? And I was getting, in grades, I was getting B's. You know, B's, you know, with some A's, some C's. So from the outside, what does it look like? It looks like a kid who's well behaved, who's getting B's. What red flags does that throw up? So, you know, my parents were just constantly berating me for not living up to my potential because, well, if the tests say you're so smart, then why can't you get A's? You know, if the tests say you're so smart, then why aren't you doing your homework? You know, and what I'm learning now is that it's because I have a dopamine deficiency in my brain that that causes problems with my executive functioning. And that it wasn't that I didn't care about school. It wasn't that I didn't want to get good grades. It wasn't that I was a bad kid. It was that I had a learning disability that prevented me from paying attention as well as I could have. You know, I was spacey, I was daydreaming in class. I have inattentive type ADHD. And when I would get home and there was other things to do at home, like specifically the early 90s internet, which I was obsessed with, I would just not do my homework because my focus was on the more stimulating thing. And basically ADHD is a deficit of, hi, I'm still new to this. I'm still processing how to say these things. It's a problem with focus, right? So most people, when they have something they have to do, they are able to put the exciting thing down, and even if they don't enjoy it, to focus on the thing that they have to do. But for someone with ADHD, that is just astronomically harder, unless it's an emergency, unless you are about to suffer a severe consequence. you can't shift your focus to the boring thing that you should do instead of the exciting thing that you want to do. And I'm talking about this. I'm sure in the future I will have a better understanding. But yeah, so there was that. There was, feeling like, I got into American Mensa and flunked out of college in the same year. And I've always beat myself up for it, or I've always thought like, oh, it's such a shame that I was so mentally ill that I had a nervous breakdown, and I wish that, and it's all my parents' fault because they treated me so badly, and I was just so, scarred from it. And then there is me feeling bad about the relationship part of it. Like, I have such problems keeping friends. I have one friend who's close, who I actually talk to on a regular basis. And do you know how many good friends I've had over the years that it's ended in flames, and we have parted ways never to speak again? I guess that having angry emotional outbursts is like part of it. And it's because I don't have any impulse control. I guess that 40% or something crazy like that. It's something crazy. It's like 20 to 40% of alcoholics have ADHD. I don't know. I'm failing at words right now, so I think I'm going to end this video. But yeah, so I'm excited to get started on this medicine tomorrow, and I feel like it could possibly change every single aspect of my life. I think that'd be really cool, and I'll let you know how it goes. Okay, bye.